We have a lot of stuff to go over. Well, hi, Bianca. You don't have to unmute yourself unless you,
Yeah, I realized that.
yeah. But if you don't want to leave yourself on, you could just mute yourself. And if you have questions, you just,
Okay.
hopefully the others that signed up for it remember that it's happening and they come on in and join us as we're going. So
Okay.
my name's Lori Dunn. I'm a professor of accounting and business here at LCC. I've been here for almost 18 years. I'm a CPA almost 28 years. I have my accounting degree from LCC, actually an associate's degree years and years ago. I was a student myself. I have my bachelor's degree from King's, and I have a master's degree in taxation from King's College as well. So that's just a little bit about me. I don't think I've met you face to face as of yet. So I'm glad you're attending. Today we're going to be talking about just the different kind of experiences you can expect as an accounting major here at LCC. Some what it takes to be a successful accountant, a successful accounting student, some of the accounting credentials that you may be interested in pursuing, give you some information about those, accounting careers, transferring if you're interested in going for your bachelor's degree in accounting, and then some organizations you should participate in and stuff. So that's where our topics are going to go. And also one of our professors, John Sedlak, is going to talk about the link between business and accounting. Sorry, John, I didn't put it officially in the agenda, but you're in there, okay? So
not a problem at all.
Okay. So before we get started, though, I'd like the instructors that are here with us from our business department to introduce themselves so that you get to know them. You could see them face to face. And then we're going to have a former student of ours from LCC who's now at Misericordia University speak also. So Walter, why don't you take it away?
Hi, Brandy, or Bianca and Brandy and John. It's Walter Janowski. Basically, I've been with the LCC since 1982 in adjunct capacity and then full-time. I graduated from the University of Scranton with the MBA in accounting, and I used that degree in a manufacturing concern locally for about 25 years. At LCC, I teach business law, principles of accounting, and cost and managerial, which is pretty much my forte, because that's what I did in business. And John will speak about that. Your accounting degree helps you in business, running a business and generating the reports you need to have. So it's a very important degree to have, even if you don't become an accountant, having the background is extremely important. Good luck, Bianca. Wish you the well.
Thank you.
John.
Good morning, everyone. John Sedlak. I'm professor of business here at the college and also the college's Dean of Human Resources. And I've been with LCC for 27 years. It's been a great journey for sure. And my educational background is in business. I have a master's degree in business from Wilkes University. And I am really anxious to talk to many of the accounting majors on that crossover into the business area. So looking forward to the discussion.
Cool. Thanks, John. Well, so you know, Bianca, if you haven't met your some of the other instructors here yet, actually the only other one is Gary, who is a full-time, our department chair, Dr. Gary Mrozinski, who he may come in on this. I think he had a conference call or something this morning. So he may come in a little bit and say hello, but he primarily, he's the chair of our department. He primarily teaches the business and economics area, and he can introduce himself to you. Also, your counselor is Janine Kelly at the school. So you're aware of that in the counseling area. So if you need any kind of advice or, you know, any kind of guidance, that's who you want to reach out to. Were you aware of that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, so her name is Janine Kelly, and she's in the counseling. You may be, and as an accounting major, I usually ask for all the accounting majors for me to be a faculty advisor. Sorry, Walter. And I have to check. I haven't looked at all my advising. Shame on me, the students I'm advising this semester. But I may be your faculty advisor, or maybe Mr. Janowski maybe, who will help you with plotting out the rest of your time here at LCC as an accounting major, what classes you should take and, you know, what semester and things like that. So you're aware of that. The last person who isn't here is she is our Director of Employment and Career Services. Her name is Ursula Erin, and she oversees helping you with resume writing, cover letter writing, seeking employment. She always lets me know of any job opportunities, and I usually try to get them out to our accounting and business majors, and you know, all of our faculty do when we find out about those opportunities. So just so you're aware of the people who can help you at the college here.
Okay.
So before I talk, this old lady starts talking about stuff, I want you to understand what it's like to be more of a current student who's been through the LCC accounting program in the last couple of years and has transitioned into a 4-year experience. So with us today is Brandy Boyum, and she is one of my fabulous students who has gone through the program. And as I said, she's now at Misericordia. So Brandy, do you want to talk for a few minutes about who you are, what you're doing, what you know, all your experiences?
Yes, I started back at LCC about 3 or 4 years ago. I took about 14 years off, decided to go back with accounting. Had Lori, had Walter. I don't think I had the other John though, but
Yeah.
I really liked LCC, and then I transferred over to Misericordia 2019. I started Misericordia, so for my bachelor's degree program. What year are you in right now? Your first year?
Yes. I started to ESL first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what else to say.
Well, talk about some of your experiences. What were your harder classes? How did you get through them? Because you did fabulous, Brandy. So how did you create a study schedule, time manage, things like that?
Right. So the classes I go over with my advisor, but then I choose the classes that I want to take. I usually go with a couple easy classes and then 1 or 2 harder classes so that I'm not overloaded with a lot of work. Like, I'm really good at algebra, so I'll take algebra and a history class, and then I'll take right now with auditing and quantitative methods. So it's I don't want to overload my work. And then right now I currently have a crazy schedule, so I'll mark down the days I have off, what classes I could do those days, because everything's online right now. So but if you're going to go to school, like to a classroom, I always made it so that I would have all the classes in either Tuesdays and Thursdays or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that you get those 2 days off to do all the work. You know what I mean, like to study, and then you have your weekends, but you don't want to go overboard at first. So.
How about, what was your hardest class, Brandy? Go ahead, say it.
The hardest class was earth science. It was physics, earth science. It was just so much information. I got an A, but it was a low A.
So, and you know what? I don't know if Walter and John, you could, if you had similar experiences. I had the same experiences when I was going to college. My worst class was speech. At LCC, I got a C in speech. I was mortified by it, but it wasn't in accounting. So I think that's something you have to consider when you're working on your classes, that accounting might, wow, that's my major, I'm doing well in it, but you also have to pay attention to these other classes because they could be just as, even more challenging than the classes in your major. So, and it's very important to keep a higher GPA. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What other kind of wisdom do you have, Brandy?
Um,
How about you transition to your 4-year?
yeah, always apply for FAFSA early. And I applied to Misericordia, I think the fall before I graduated from LCC, just to make sure I would get in. And transferring credits is something to pay attention to, because you could transfer up to 60 credits. And at first, Misericordia was only going to take 40. And that's money. That's more money than I'm going to have to spend to get my bachelor's. So just make sure that they transfer all your credits, and certain classes, they may have different names at LCC as they do at other schools, so they might not recognize it as something. Always ask questions. Always make sure they are informative.
Right. That's great
I
advice.
would say, if I can interject, make sure you keep your syllabus.
Yes.
Yes.
And then when you go to transfer, have the syllabus with you, and that'll help them determine if that class does transfer and where it transfers. Because we all give out a syllabus. It might be online, but make a copy of it. Then you always have it put in a folder of all your classes, and that'll help you in the 4-year program.
Yes. That's excellent advice, Walter. So how far along are you now, Brandy, with your bachelor's degree?
Well, because I'm in the adult accelerated program, I'm not quite sure, because it's 7-week classes. Some are full semester classes. But I hope to graduate in fall of 21.
Okay.
If I do it all.
Great.
But I do hope to go for my master's too. So.
Oh, great. Okay. Bianca, what kind of questions do you have for Brandy? Anything?
So what is your master degree?
Accounting.
No. Besides that, like CPA or CMA?
Oh, I haven't decided whether I wanted to do CPA or CMA yet.
Okay, that's the question. Yeah.
We're
But
gonna
okay, just say, but they say it's a little difficult taking those master degree like CPA and CAM.
I haven't taken them yet, but you have to have 150 credits in order to take either one.
Okay.
And your master's degree will give you that 150 credits. So
I understand.
I will decide then, maybe both. Any other questions?
For now, no.
Thanks, Brandy. Thank you so much for sharing some information with Bianca. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that time. Okay.
Maybe 6 o'clock I'll have better information.
You'll come back in and see if anybody shows up. Okay. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Nice seeing you. Bye,
You
everyone.
too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, before I get started with my schmeal here, maybe John, do you want to take a few minutes and talk to Bianca about the link between accounting and business?
Sure, thank you very much. Yeah, so there's definitely this connection, Bianca, with accounting majors and business, and Walter, certainly jump in anytime you wish as well, because I know you've taught a number of business courses as well. But as an accounting major, you learn great concepts and practices to cultivate skills in, critical thinking, which relates to business, analytical reasoning, and probably more importantly, a lot of interpersonal communications, which is very, very important. So they're beneficial, for students who choose to even major not only in accounting, but maybe have, some insight or concentration in business administration or business management. But the field of accounting itself has a number of roles to play on the management side, with business and industry. So it could be working as a managerial accountant or in cost accounting or other corporate accounting jobs. But also the skills that you're going to develop through that program, being specialized skills, will also help in more related accounting jobs on the business side. So it could be a financial examiner or a financial analyst, positions of controller or budget analyst, just to name a few. So there's tremendous crossover in accounting to business. And as part of that crossover, your accounting degree program will require a number of core courses in a variety of business subjects, and a number of them that I also teach, whether it be principles of management, human resources management. There is definitely a crossover in topics discussed in accounting and how they relate to one another. And I recall many years ago teaching Introduction to Business, where it's a survey of business topics. There was always a little accounting piece. So it was always very relatable, I think, to touch on that for business majors. So there's definitely a lot of crossover and a lot of options for you. But I'd love to have accounting students in my classroom, because I always like to kind of single them out for different topics when I'm trying to get across a financial topic that a lot of my, let's say, HR management students really don't want anything to do with, because they want to be more people-oriented topics and employee relations. But there's so much in finance and accounting related to, say, HR, whether it be preparing a budget that has to do with, employee staffing plans. So just a lot of crossover. So I look forward, hopefully, to see you in some of my future courses.
Awesome.
I would like to.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
That's great. Yeah, I think about, and Walter, you could probably concur, your experiences, you're like, yeah, I managed. I did a little bit of human resources as an accountant, and sometimes we wear a couple different hats as an accountant, depending on where we were.
It's funny because it's true. You do a little bit of everything, and the accounting degree, because it's analytical, you're able to sit down and look at a report and make a decision. And the decision, that's the process you have to do, especially managerial or cost accounting. Understanding, here's the report, what makes you profitable or unprofitable, which way to go. But it comes back to the business courses, management, marketing, and HR. So it's very important.
Yes.
I see a mug shot there.
Hey, the doc's here.
Hey there.
Hey.
Out of one Zoom meeting and into another. I love it.
Well, we have one participant who showed up for us today. Bianca did. So we are taking her through our program, Gary, but I said I knew you would be coming on. So if you wanted to say hello to Bianca here, introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, Bianca. I'm Gary Mrozinski. I teach this semester. I'm teaching macroeconomics and microeconomics. I've also taught principles of marketing and principles of management, and then some other courses. I teach online also. I've been here at the college since 2006. My first 8 years, I was the Dean of Business and Technologies, and then I was promoted to the faculty in 2013, and that's a joke. and I've been teaching full-time, and I've been teaching since 1997 part-time, but I started teaching full-time in the business department in fall 2013, and these are the areas that I teach in. Prior to that, I worked for 18 years, the first 11 in a manufacturing environment, the next 7 years in a healthcare environment. So good to meet you.
The same.
So we just had, you missed Brandy Boyum. I don't know if you know Brandy, Gary, but she's one of our former students who has an accounting degree from LCC, who's transitioned into the adult learner. They don't call it, I think it's the adult learner, used to be called Expressway program at Misericordia. They changed the name, but she was talking about some of her experiences, and John just gave a great discussion about the link between business and accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
So I'm just going to continue. I have a PowerPoint that I'll call up and share. I have it active here, but sometimes Zoom is a little testy with sharing stuff. So here we go. So you should see that on your screen. And if anytime anybody wants to jump in, and Bianca, if you have questions, just let me know, or for anybody.
Okay.
So do you guys see the entire presentation there? Or do you see a split screen?
It's a split screen.
Just one slide.
Okay. I have two screens going, so there we go.
There you go.
Now you see the entire? Awesome. Okay. So there's everybody we were giving you the information about. You've met Dr. Mrazinski and Mr. Janoski and Mr. Sedlak. Janine Kelly again is your counselor, and Ursula is the Director of Career Employment Services. And I could send you a copy of this presentation so you have that information.
Yes, please.
Okay. So John and Walter both touched on these necessary qualities that that's what you're really developing here in your education to be a successful accountant. And analytical skills is probably the top of the list for accounting. And it's very important that you're able to look at information and understand what it's saying. And that's what we're teaching you in this beginning part of your education, in your major accounting courses. And even in your math courses, you're picking up those analytical skills to really look at information and be able to read what it's saying. Some other qualities you need to be a successful accountant are written and verbal communication. You must master it. And that's one of the major, we call them soft skills, or just a skill you should have. That's lacking a lot now in recent college graduates. So we're really looking for you to develop those skills so that you can be successful, not only as an accountant, but in any career you may choose. Computer software skills, especially spreadsheets. I know we have as part of our program, the Excel course. It's imperative you understand Excel to be in accounting. Other softwares, you usually learn on the job. We also have a QuickBooks class here at the college that is not part of our regular four-year transfer degree, but which program are you in, Bianca?
I take accounting AAS. Yeah, that's the one.
So that is the degree that gets you ready for employment.
Yes, that's what they say.
And so QuickBooks is a required class in that program. So you'll be experiencing that class.
Okay.
And getting familiar with accounting software. Data analytics software is really important, and we start in Accounting 111, the intro class, and carry it right through all your accounting classes, basically, especially your financial accounting. You learn how to use a data analytics software called Tableau. Now, you're not taking a software class, but you're experiencing it. And that's the important thing. Many employers are looking for students of college. Oh, there's Alvin. Hi, Alvin. Glad you can make it. Give him a second to come on in. He's still connecting. Well, I'll keep going. But many employers are looking for students leaving, especially a four-year experience, to have some type of experience using data analytics software. Another one is called Power BI, which is part of Microsoft Excel. So any opportunity you have to experience those, it's really important. Tax software also, and we use it a little bit in the tax accounting class. But as you can imagine, artificial intelligence or using computers and software are part in everyday life in the accounting profession now. Many things that I did when I first graduated from college, and maybe Walter, you could attest to this as well, there are things that aren't done by human beings anymore. They're done by computers and artificial intelligence. So it's really important we get you experiencing them. Emotional intelligence is very important. If you've never heard that term, it's just basically you could deal with situations. And then business etiquette is also very important to be successful in any business career, but also to understand, the do's and don'ts and how you should conduct yourself, especially, and I don't focus it on it as much because I didn't grow up with it in that social media area, and things you're posting about yourself and may not fall in line with what your employer wants you to be posting. Because nowadays, employers say you represent the company at all times. So it's really important that you keep in mind what you should and shouldn't be doing. Do you have any questions on any of those?
No.
Oh, okay. Now we have Alvin joining us and Derek. So welcome. We're working on our presentation right now. I'm Lori Dunn. Dr. Mrozinski is also with us. And I don't know if we lost anybody. I think, yeah, John and Walter are gone. So.
Still here.
Oh, they're still here.
Oh, I'm here.
We have
Oh, okay. I can't see us. Oh, now I see us. Okay, sorry about that. But if anybody has any questions, just unmute yourself and you're more than welcome to ask. So, what do you have to do now as an accounting major to prepare? See those words? Read, read, read. Okay. So you need to form a study habit if you don't currently have one. You have to learn how to read to understand, not just read to read. Okay. So you must be able to, when you walk away from a page, understand or start developing an understanding of what was on that page. Some suggestions that I used over the years, and you all can jump in on what the suggestions you may have, but I outlined as I read chapters. I jotted down questions that I had because maybe the book didn't fully explain it, or it made me think of other things that I needed answers to. And I walked away making sure I had the general understanding of the material before the teacher even started lecturing about it. So the lecture wasn't my first experience with it. And then in accounting, practice. Walter, yes.
What I found was because it's very analytical, you had to have an open mind. And when you had a transaction, you had to understand what was going on between two different parties or the business itself monetarily. So like you said, you had to read, but you had to understand analytics to understand accounting. Once you got past a certain point, it became really very natural to look at anything and analyze a transaction. But you're right, you had to read, you had to be prepared.
Right. And I think that leads you to the open mind, because if you read it already, you have a general understanding. And then when the teacher's talking, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. And you start thinking beyond the book. It isn't your first experience with the material, so you can think openly about it. And then practice, which it's just like a math course in the sense that you have to complete all your homework and practice. Repetition is key, and ask for more practice if you need it. Okay, so I think we have our core accounting classes designed to make sure this is happening. I know my son has a friend in one of the accounting classes that says, how much more homework can she give? It's just so much homework. And I said, well, that's the only way you're going to retain it. So, and we have you experiencing different things in the accounting courses themselves that make you practice and then make you master, and then give you experiences with Excel and Tableau. So it's just not accounting in your accounting courses anymore. Any questions?
No.
Walter, I can't hear you. You're muted. Still muted.
My wife came in, so.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking to us. Okay.
He's not the teacher for us, by the way.
Oh, that's not Derek. That's
It's not.
Penelope.
He was using Zoom yesterday, my cousin. So I didn't know how to change the name. So that's why I wanted to put the camera on.
No problem.
Yeah.
Gary, did you have?
I was just going to say, Walter's wife, Norma, is also one of our instructors. So it's perfectly acceptable if she walks behind you and waves.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so again, take extensive notes. And what I found worked for me was reviewing daily, not reading and letting the stuff go. You know, I always kid around and say, don't put your book in the trunk of the car on Friday and pick it up on Monday. You should be trying to review as much as possible. And you find that you just retain it, and it's better for understanding and for testing. Study in groups. Unfortunately, that's a little harder this semester because of our situation, but as much as you can, you know, you guys know with your phones and your texting and discussion boards and Zoom, you can meet virtually and work together on practice and any part of the courses. Participate and practice those communication skills because that's the only way you're going to develop those required skills for your career. And this is probably most important, learn to time manage. That's the one thing I have with students. They go, I didn't have time. I worked till 11. I couldn't get on there. You know, it's just because you're not time managing properly. And Brandy said that in her discussion before, and Penelope, so you know, a former student came on and she said, I only take enough so that I could do the best I can in that coursework. So you know what that combination is, and you know when you take on too much. And a lot of times I'll hear students say, well, I work full time, I have a family, and I'm taking 5 classes. Now, some people might be very successful with that, but I know myself, I don't know how they do it. Because
I don't know how I do it either.
right.
I'm taking 6 classes and I'm a full-time student and I have a full-time job.
Right.
But I have to manage my time.
So, and that's the most important thing. If you can manage it and do it, great. But just be careful. That's all I'm saying. So you don't overextend yourself. Stay organized. Of course, don't miss class. And there's your study time. For a 3-credit course, you should study at least 2 hours for each credit or 6 hours a week. That's minimum. That's the suggestion, is minimum. Some classes you'll study more because it's more difficult subject matter. Maybe some less because you get it very quickly. But that's probably the average. You guys have anything else to add to our list there? Suggestions?
Oh, great list.
Okay. And know your study or know your learning type. Everybody learns differently. I'm telling you what helped me to learn. It may be different for you. Some people are auditory learners that they just have to listen and they get it. I'm more of a person who has to read and practice and visual, you know, I see it, but I also have to do it. I'm a kinetic learner. So you all have your different ways of learning. So I think in your FYE class, you pretty much find that out. Okay. So other questions on being a great accounting student or being a successful accountant? Okay. So I just want to talk a little bit about the different types of accounting careers you can go into with a bachelor's degree. Now, Penelope, I know you're planning on transferring to a 4-year. Bianca, you're going to do the 2-year and transition into work.
Yes.
Also know, Bianca, that even with that degree, you can still transfer at some point in the future into a 4-year program.
Yeah, that's what I like to do after I get a job and I transfer my credits.
Yes, yes. So it's, you know, you're in a good position. But some of the careers that you can go into with a 4-year accounting degree is public accounting, which is a accounting firm. And there's all different size accounting firms. So there's national accounting firms, which are really international accounting firms. They're all over the world. There's 4 of them right now: KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, Ernst & Young. So they're in major cities in the United States. They have thousands of employees, but that is one option. There's also regional accounting firms, and there's just some that are in the Northeast, Baker Tilly, Grant Thornton, BDO, Seidman. And then there's local, and the one I used to work at, and they're like just maybe in the Wyoming Valley, Lackawanna, Luzerne County. Snyder and Clementi's one of them, Chronic Calada and Birdie's another one. So and the smaller or the local ones will have less employees than the regional and then the largest firms. Now, depending on where you may think you want to go, there's different types of work you do in public accounting. And the major activities are tax preparation for all different kind of entities, like an individual, corporations, partnerships, trusts, gift tax returns. There's all different kind of tax returns that you prepare. Audit is the other major activity in a public accounting firm, and that's really the larger accounting firms, the national firms. They're the ones who audit most public companies, or the companies whose stock is traded on a stock market. Some auditors in those kind of positions will actually feel like they work at the company that they're auditing because they're there almost year round auditing them. But at a local level, you may go to a client and audit them for 2 weeks. So it all depends on where you end up, but auditing is another major activity. And then the other one is consulting, and there's all different kind of consulting. It could be doing technology, even a bit of a finance consulting. So, you know, different companies have all different kind of little niches they go into with consulting. So we just give it that term. So that's public accounting. Now, Bianca, I heard you mention CPA, CMA. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but only certified public accounting firms can audit. So only a CPA can actually sign off on an audit report. That's our market as CPAs, or certified public accountants. Okay, you do not need to be a CPA to work at one of these companies. You need to be a CPA to own one of the companies, to be a partner or an owner in a public accounting firm. Any questions? Private accounting. Now this is where Walter could come in and talk more about this, but there's large corporations, public companies we call them, that you can go and be an accountant at. Medium companies, size companies, we're just talking about the amount of business the company does, is revenues and assets the company owns. So there's international companies, there's medium size, what we call private companies, that there's only a few stockholders and the stock isn't exchanged on a stock market. And then there's very small companies, private companies. Myself, I worked at a very small trucking company. We had 100 trucks at the time, and I was their first accountant in the company to ever be hired. So they called me a controller. So I was an accountant, but I had different types of activities that I did than as a public accountant. So I'm showing you here the types of activities you would complete. Financial statements you would make for the company. You would do budgeting for the company. So predicting the future of the company on a financial area. Daily cash management. Do we have enough money to pay our bills? How's our money coming in? What do we owe? If you work for a public company, you have to do reports to the Securities and Exchange Commission and other agencies of the government. You work with the public accountant on the audit. Okay, and there's more activities you do, but just to give you a flavor, it's a little different than public accounting. I loved this career path when I was in it. And I was lucky I worked at a small private company, but then I worked for a large public company. I worked for the New York Times, actually, not in New York, here in Moosic. WNEP was owned at the time by the New York Times. And so I worked here for WNEP, but I was part of this much larger public company. And it just, the way the companies are run are so much different. And it was just an interesting experience on both sides to see how these large companies operate as compared to a small company and the different activities you do. Walter, do you have anything to add to that?
And when you're talking about accounting a private business or industry, it's fascinating because you do a lot of everything yourself.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, you generate reports, and those reports go to management, and then management has to make a decision on which way they're going to turn. So when you look at the type of work, it's quite interesting. And I always tell the students, if you want to have a heart attack, be a CPA. You want to enjoy your life, be a CMA. I always tell them that, but that's what I tell them. I don't always say it that way, but you know, tax season kills people. But as
Well,
manager, enjoy life. You have a good time. That's me.
yes. that is true on the level of if you tax season is grueling, and in public accounting you experience tax season. The good news is it's in the winter. So if you're more of a summer person, you could take more time off in the summer, but in the winter, during those first 4 months of the year, you're working a real lot during tax season.
So true. So true.
Brutal.
You know, but in the business, you have a good time. I mean, you're the person people come to for a report, and they ask you for a lot of advice, and that's the key. Laura, you know yourself, trucking company, they came to you all the time. What should we do here? And you gave them advice, and that's a good. Like, you feel very important in a small business.
You do, and that's what I was going to bring up. I was second in charge at that business. Over a 3-year period, it took me to rise up to that status, and I was probably one of the youngest people in the office. And it was just the general manager and I, and who was the owner, and he would say, should we buy more trucks? Should we build a new warehouse? What do you think, Laura? And I was like, you want me to answer that? You know, but I was the one with the skills to determine that. And he relied on me a lot and my expertise to grow the business. And that is a lot of fun. And that's what I mean. Even at New York Times, though, on a local level, it wasn't as fun of an experience because at the time we were going through a recession when I worked there. So on that side, it was budgeting and making sure we made the money the New York Times wanted us to make. And then what actually came down to was I had to start talking about people getting laid off. That's not fun. So, but you're part of that whole process, and it's a great experience. That's my thing. And Walter, that's yours too, huh?
Yes.
If I go back to either public or private, I would go back to private, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's just enjoyable.
Yes. Do you guys have any questions on that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So in our case, as a student, like I'm always worried about, oh my God, how's gonna be my first job when I go onto accounting, you know? So it's like hard for me to be like, oh my God, what happens if I make an error or something? Because it's my first job. I know I like to do this, but you know, I don't have the experience. So I'm always thinking about that, about my first job as an accountant.
You're going to be doing an internship, though. You're Penelope. Are you going to King's College?
Yeah.
You're going to be doing an internship, at least one. So you're going to feel more confident having an internship or two under your belt once you graduate, I think.
Yeah.
Having already worked in an accounting office.
Yes.
I hope I can do it good.
You will. And here's something else you have to remember.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave your experience at your 4-year institution, they don't expect you to remember every single accounting practice problem you did. They're going to train you to be what they expect. So you go in with bosses who oversee everything you do. You need to come in with knowledge, like tax knowledge and how to do financial statements and things of that nature. But they're not going to see, here you go, Penelope, good luck. Do this whole thing for us, whatever it may be. You're usually operating in teams. You always have maybe a manager and then a partner above you. And you rise through the ranks in a public accounting firm. And in private accounting, it's the same way. You don't go in and you're the boss. No, you go in as a staff accountant and you learn the business and you learn how they do accounting, which is going to probably be different than what you learned in school. It's always tweaked a little differently. But they're there with you. They don't want you to make mistakes. So don't worry about that. If you do well in school and you're getting an understanding of the material, you will be fine in your career. How about guys? Do you guys agree with that? Your experiences transitioning into the work world?
You'll be working alongside more experienced people that will mentor you.
Yeah.
That happens in any workplace.
Thank you.
Mhm. Cool. All right. So you could go to work at the government. You can work for the Internal Revenue Service as an auditor. I actually had a friend who graduated from college with me, and she was an internal auditor at the IRS. So she worked at the IRS. So people would go, oh, she works at the IRS. But then she was an internal auditor of the IRS. So everybody at the IRS were like, oh, she's an internal auditor. So she had an interesting experience. But that, or you could become an IRS auditor. You can become an accountant at the FBI. You could become a special agent where you actually carry a gun, and you are, so if you're interested in more the criminal investigation side of either in the IRS or the FBI, you can go that route. You go through their training and all. So you have opportunity there. Any level of government needs an accountant. I have a friend from high school who went to college with me. He's a business manager in Wilkes-Barre Township. He's been there for probably 20 years. He's an accountant. So accounting is necessary. Everybody needs it. And the other big thing is that during the Great Recession, they called it, back in 2007 to 2009, you might have seen unemployment numbers in general at 9–10% across the country. Accounting, it was 3%. So people kept their jobs in accounting even through one of the largest downturns in our economy. So that's something else to keep in mind as you're going into your career. And you could see that accounting degree, you can go anywhere and you could switch around. Look at me, I went public, private, and now I'm teaching. So it opens up a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you chose a great major. Accounting is not for everyone, but obviously it's for you because you chose this program. But what I will say is that accounting graduates do better in the labor force in terms of compensation than other business graduates. And even on a four-year level, if you graduate from a bachelor's degree program, it's always the finance majors and the accounting majors do the best. So you have that to look forward to.
And we need accountants right now because a lot are retiring and there isn't that interest in accounting. So students aren't taking it enough of them aren't taking it to replace the people that are retiring. So there's a lot of jobs. Education. And then there's also the specialty area, forensic accounting. If you're thinking about going into education though, you need a doctorate degree to work at a four-year institution. That's the biggie. Then there's schools around that offer accounting doctorate degrees. So if you're interested in going that route, you might want to look at that. Forensic accounting is another area that specializes. Lawyers will use them, FBI, accounting firms have them as well. And their job is usually to put the puzzle pieces back together where things are lost about a company's financial situation, or maybe they're investigating fraud. And they forensically, so that's where the forensic comes in, that they put these puzzle pieces together to figure out what's going on with the company, missing information, maybe it was shredded, maybe there was fraud happening and they're trying to find out what happened, enough that maybe criminal charges are being brought against a person, and then they are expert witnesses in the court of law. So two major areas that are focused on with forensic accounting. Okay, so those are four-year degrees. Now we go into our two-year degree. So Bianca, if you were like, I just want to get that two-year degree and I'm going to go into a workplace, usually you go into they call it a clerk position. I don't really like that. A lot of times now they'll call them accounting associates, accounts receivable, accounts payable. So you specialize in a particular area and learn how to do that for the company. Maybe you're creating payroll for the company, or even assistant to the controller. If you choose to specialize, you want to learn about, I would just want to do taxes. You may want to go to work at H&R Block or Liberty Tax. So there you'll gain your experiences on individual income taxes. And you have courses that will enable you to go into those companies.
Okay.
Okay, so I kind of went over that fast. Do you have any questions on that?
No,
Okay.
I understand what you say.
All right. So our professional credentials: certified public accountant, certified management accountant, certified, here's another one, certified fraud examiner. I picked 3, and they're probably the 3 widely known of the credentials. There's many credentials accountants could get. I'm a forensic CPA. It's just another credential that you can get. And actually what I did was I read a couple books and took some tests, and now I'm a forensic CPA. So a lot of these credentials are based on you taking tests. And we were talking about that before. So I'm just going to, let's see, sneak out of here and see where I have it. My CPA book. Okay, so you should see become a CPA. You see that on your screen?
Yep.
And this is a booklet put out by the Pennsylvania Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So you could go to their website, and I include their website here in the presentation. But it talks about how to become a CPA in Pennsylvania, which every state has their own rules. But here's the 5 steps. You graduate, you study, okay? Or you prepare, apply for the test, you study, and then you schedule and sit for the CPA exam. So Brandy was just off a little bit, so you know, to sit for the CPA exam, you need a bachelor's degree, minimum, which is 120 credits. And they could be in anything. I've had students come back who have philosophy degrees as their 4-year bachelor's degree. As long as you have at least 24 credits in accounting, like accounting, auditing, business law, finance, and economics, you are able to sit for the exam. I have a student right now, I don't know how she's gonna do it, but she came back, she has an economics degree, and she said she's going to take 2 accounting classes and she's going to sit for the CPA exam. I wish her luck with that. I was like, I don't know how you're gonna do that. I think you really need to be in a classroom and study these things, but she feels she can do it with studying using other resources. Once you pass the exam, okay, which takes, you have up to 18 months, and there's 4 parts to the exam, which the book will tell you all about that. That's just how much money stuff costs. Let me go on through here. And the exam, here's the different parts: audit, financial accounting and reporting, law, which is regulation, business environment and concepts. And you could see the price of each part. It's going to be over $1,000 to complete this exam. So you want to make sure you study enough that you're going to pass it. And Bianca, yes, it is a difficult exam, but if you study and you're disciplined, you will do fine in it. Okay, and you could study for 1 part at a time. Then you apply to take the exam. It's computerized now, so you schedule where your exam will be taken. It's kind of like when if you took your SATs or your ACTs or certain standardized tests. But once you pass a part, you have to pass the rest within 18 months or you're reset. You got to start over. And then you study, and they talk about the different parts of the exam here. And there's study review courses. So Becker is a well-known CPA review provider, and that's actually the student right now. She's going through that program, and she feels with that program and taking accounting 1 and 2, she'll be okay to take the exam. I don't agree with her, but we'll see. I used Gleim, and actually I bought a book at it was called Walden's Bookstore, and that was my study, the Gleim book. But they all are online now, and They cost a couple $1,000s, but they guarantee you will pass the exam. Okay, so more stuff. Once you finish the exam, I don't think they have it in here. There we go. Once you pass the exam, that's the hard part. You should then have work experience. And work experience you need is working with a certified public accountant in any of these areas. So at one time you used to have to work at a CPA firm to get your work experience. No longer. You can go into private accounting. So there, Walter, you could still be a CPA in private accounting, but just as like your boss has to be a CPA and you have to be doing accounting work. You can't be photocopying and filing for a CPA. You should be doing accounting work for 1 year. You also need now to have at least 150 credits of school. So an additional 30 credits or 10 courses beyond your bachelor's degree. And that's where you don't have to get a master's degree, but normally that's a master's degree program. Okay, and then after that, you apply, you ask to be licensed in the state, and then you get your license. As long as you take 80 hours of school every 2 years, so seminars, different things qualify, you retain your license. So I don't work in accounting anymore per se, but I'm still a CPA. So if I ever needed to go back, because I've kept up on my education, I can. You guys have any questions on that? I know I kind of flew through it. Just wanted to give you a brief overview, and I could send this to you. Okay, let me go to the CMA, which this is a whole handbook here. The CMA is a certified management accountant. It has really been designed, this credential, for those who went into private accounting. So now you're working for one company and you're doing things like budgeting and creating financial statements and analyzing reports and things of that nature. So the exam's a little different, but it is an exam. And I think you need to have a bachelor's degree. Let me just see really quickly here. Eligibility. So you need to be an active member of the Institute of Management Accountants. That's the organization that oversees the certified management accountant. You need to satisfy education qualifications and experience to be a CMA and the examination. So pretty similar to a CPA, the kind of things you have to have done, but it'll be geared more towards whatever the organization wants you to do. For instance, you need a bachelor's degree to be a certified management accountant. You need to complete, okay, no, that's wrong. You need some experience, and they talk about that in here. And then the exam and what the different parts are. Again, there's study courses out there to help you prepare for the exam. So, you know, you're not out there hanging on your own. I'm not a CMA. I never took the exam. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I've had students take it and been very successful with it. And because they're in private accounting, they prefer being a CMA. Anybody, Walter, you have anything to add on that? You're muted.
I'm unmuted. No, I basically I tell the students, if you're very much interested in this type of accounting, sit for the exam. I never did. I had no desire to, sorry. But sit for the exam. It will help you out in the future because you're certified. And as you go along with the company, you do become the controller, as you said, and it's a very powerful aspect of accounting.
Yes. And that's the other thing. The more credentials you have by your name, the more marketable you are if you are searching for employment elsewhere. And the younger and the more I shouldn't say younger, but the closer you are to out of school in taking them, the better off you'll be. So you don't want to wait a long time after graduating to complete these exams, because you're going to learn that what you learned in school, although are the rules, the company you work for may do them a little differently. So you'll get used to the way you're doing them at your company and kind of forget what you learned in college and try to take this exam. And it's a theory-based exam that's really a book exam.
Oh.
So,
So my question is, so you need to have experience first before you take the test, or you can take the test and then the experience?
yeah, as soon as you finish your bachelor's degree, you can take the test.
Okay.
Some people will take time off. They won't get a job until they finish whatever exam they want to take. But to be licensed, exam passed, experience, and well, for a CMA, you just need those 2 credentials. For a CPA, you need another 30 credits of school. So you could be doing them simultaneously or one at a time.
Oh, and what happens if well, I'm in school as I get a job in the accounting area? So that counts as an experience
While you're in school, no, it's not until you're out of school.
out of school?
Yeah, so your internships don't count as your experience. Anything else? All right. And then the CFE, which if anybody is familiar or interested in, a certified fraud examiner, which is more on the forensic side of accounting. And again, you take a test, you have some experience requirements, and I think you have to belong to the organization. So I can send this to you so you can read more about it if you're interested. Just let me know. Okay, so let me go back to my PowerPoint and we'll wrap up. So there's your professional organizations. These are organizations you may want to join now. I know Penelope, I think you joined the PICPA, right? I make that a requirement in my 2nd year courses that students become student affiliates. It's free and you put it on your resume. You get a whole bunch of information about becoming a CPA. I think the Institute of Management Accountants also has a similar program. So check that out if you want to learn more about becoming a student affiliate with them. And become a member of your local Chamber of Commerce. Joining these organizations will allow you to even network with individuals that may be your boss or colleagues. So the more involved you get, the more opportunities you will have. At school, we have the business club, which will be starting up. I'm trying to think of how to virtually have a business club, but I'm thinking some TED Talks and maybe Ursula doing a couple things, but I'll be sending out information about that. And then we have Kappa Beta Delta, which Gary, do you want to talk about?
Sure. First, I'll say that we are accredited by the Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs, ACBSP. Our programs are accredited by ACBSP. Our business programs, our accounting programs, and our paralegal program. That's a higher level of accreditation that you can choose to pursue as a business department. It's not required, and it's based on the quality of your programs, quality of your institution, quality of your faculty. And so we've been accredited since 2012, and we're very proud about that. So that's something that you can put on your resume, that you graduated from an ACBSP accredited program. We have an honor society, which is connected with ACBSP. So you can only have a chapter of this honor society if you're ACBSP accredited. And it's called Kappa Beta Delta. And you will be invited once you have completed, pretty much if you've completed your first semester, you'll be invited in the spring semester. And if you are in the top 20% of business and accounting students and paralegal students based on your GPA. So you'll get a letter from me, I'm the advisor, and that happens in the spring. So as far as a student activity, we haven't been active because we have the business club and many of the same students would be in both. So we haven't been active as a club. So it's more or less an honor, a distinction, something you can put on your resume. And there's also the opportunity to apply for scholarships. Each of the last 2 years, we've had students win $1,000 scholarships. 2 years ago, we had 2 students. This past year, we had 1 student. And so that's something that I would be in touch with you about and helping you put that application together.
Thanks. Also, the PICPA has that student affiliate membership, and Penelope was one of our community college, was it? I'm not sure. Which scholarship did you win from the PICPA? I think you're muted. Couldn't hear you. I can't hear you. That's okay. But Penelope won a scholarship from the PICPA, and she was in the CPA journal, and had a nice write-up on the website. So that's something else. Bianca, keep that in mind, that you can apply for scholarships. And we had 3 winners at LCC actually last year. Penelope, Marielle, and Jasmine. Sports, if you're involved in sports, student government, and if you don't have time to do any of that on campus, volunteer work. Just get yourself out there and start doing something. Just don't do school. Okay. You are versatile, that you can go, you're working or you're volunteering, you're doing something else besides school. If you can, start working in accounting now. Remember, internships are always available and necessary, as well as part or full-time positions. So the more experience you can gain in your career, the better off you are. And so I say to students, I started my career way back when I was 16. I always worked in accounting. I worked in an accounting firm as a data entry clerk, they called them. I sat at a computer and just typed stuff in the computers for the accountants back then, because we didn't have PCs. Then I was a bookkeeper while I was in college for a little store called Uncle Eyeball's Mountain Travelers Emporium. How about that name? You know, but I sat there and I did his, the owner's books. I would do his payroll and make sure his checkbook balanced, because he never balanced his checkbook, and pay his bills. And it was a lot of great experience. And then I went right into an internship in a public accounting firm. So the more opportunities and chance you have for getting that experience, the better off you'll be. Make sure you check the college's website in our careers area. There's always part-time jobs for accounting people, always, even full-time, okay? Transfer and advising, we are going to, at some point in the next, I'm saying this academic year, Dr. Mrozinski, maybe have a transfer meeting about things you need to know about transferring to various colleges. But know that we do have a dual enrollment agreement with King's College, Misericordia, Keystone, oh, I spelled that wrong, Keystone College, shame on me, and Wilkes University. We have agreements with them that they'll take our credits to a certain extent. Most go, 60 to 60, but be aware that those are available. Usually when you transfer to one of these schools after receiving your AS degree in accounting, they will not only take all your credits, but also provide for scholarship opportunities at the four-year institution. So that's a great thing. Okay. For more information about those dual enrollment agreements, watch for our transfer meeting where we're going to talk about that. And also you can go to the student intranet.
Okay.
I think that's the end. I don't have the end slide. So lots of information, I know, but we wanted to make sure anybody who was interested in learning more about opportunities in accounting, and let me go back to my original agenda here. There we go. And these various topics that we got the word out to you early so you can start planning. You guys have any kind of questions for any of us? Anybody have any other comments from my fellow colleagues, faculty members?
Just reach out to us whenever you need help, or if you want to talk. My door is always open. If you ever see my door open, just walk right in. Be happy to see you.
Great.
Bianca, are you a daytime student?
Daytime, yeah.
The main campus? Okay. Yeah, stop
Yeah,
in sometime.
Right now, I'm just taking ESL. That's the reason that I haven't taken my classes of accounting.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I know fun
Awesome.
that'd be.
And if you want to speak with me on the business side of things, I'm happy to talk to you and how it relates to accounting in so many ways, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm available as well.
You can also reach us by email or any other avenue, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can to talk to you about, your career, your future, and what you want to do at the college and the type of business you might be interested in. So just give us a buzz. Stop in. We're always here.
We're always around, right? Well, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for coming out, and hopefully we answered a lot of questions that maybe you had in your mind. And as everybody said, we're always here for you. If you have any kind of questions at all, don't hesitate.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, good luck, everybody.